have, because if I reference it and they didn't read it, I'll know. And if they did, I will. So it starts letting me judge who they are on the disc profile set so that I know who I'm talking to, so I can use the best language to make that as effective a conversation as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So am I starting to share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you, okay, hold on a second. I gotta get this on my thing here. Okay, so share screen. Okay. So everybody see this?
Yep.
All right,
Seller's
guide to marketing plan. We go through this and I'm going to run through it quickly. Everyone could have access if you want to. Just email Karen and she'll email it over to you. This is about our team. We start setting up about us versus the market versus other agents. So we might make sure we always reference this page, and we look at the bottom and we quantify what we're looking at, because one of the things in negotiation that's best for effectiveness is to quantify. So if you can show them that you're actually doing that, then they'll want to work with you.
Yeah.
A little bit of my resume. We go into my team. We go into what we do versus what other agents do or most agents do. So we always reference these things. We try to be visual as well as analytical. We give them sales. I mean, this is an old one I pulled up from, seems like 2015. But just, oh, no, I'm sorry. Just it goes through certain sales that we've done in the areas. We've condensed that actually since. Marketing, yada yada yada. We go through the whole process of what we do. So this is sent way before we get into the door. And one of the big things that we focus on is the marketing. So we use listing power tools to leverage all of our digital marketing. It gives us a step of quantifying the results and giving it to the owners. They think it's really cool. It comes in a visual format, and it's very useful as well. It drives a lot of traffic, and it makes our phone ring, and it makes the emails come in, and then we service it for myself and for our team.
Very cool. So this goes out prior to you even coming to the house.
Prior to me coming to the house, I reference this. I explain to them, as well as on the buy side too, a buying guide, because the whole point is you want to show them value right off the jump. It cost a lot of time and energy and effort to make this. Didn't cost technically a lot of money, but it costs us a lot of time, energy, and effort. And for that, we want to make sure that we get it out to them, because nobody else typically does this.
Absolutely.
It used to be a lot longer. We've condensed it because we've realized that only the effective pages work. Everything else, the fluff, really, it's just not needed. It's not needed. We go into our pricing way before too, so we understand. We do the same thing once we get here as well in our slides, which is the way that we leverage our pricing, which is this screen, and I'll get into that next. We go into how homes sell, everything prior, and then go into KW and start leveraging that. And then we also have a roadmap. So one of the best things that we've done that we don't think many people have is basically giving people a roadmap to say, here you are, and here's how you're going to get to the finish line. So at each step, exit out, know where it's at, but you can always understand what phase we're in the process, so you don't get confused. And people are usually very receptive to that. We go into our dot loop so that they know our systems. We go into how we negotiate and how you should expect to negotiate, and into that, because again, we don't want to be the first time telling them in the midst of a heated thing, well, no, it's, well, did you read the packet on how we handle it? This is the way that we handle it, and this is the way we're doing that. So we can reference it. We give our vendors and our attorneys, our lenders, yada, 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 yada. Move truck. We always, if you guys don't know, use Mark. Mark's excellent from Alpha Moving Storage. So I get highly recommended. It's somebody that we trust and definitely want to use it. We go into our commission structure because we always want to make sure that we set that up as well prior. And we always know that we work for this amount and you guys can give out this based on exposure. You want to give out more commission, you're going to get more exposure, more agents. You want to give less, well, you're going to get only the people that are most serious. You start giving out 3 and 4% commissions, agents really start working. Some homework for them, because we don't want us to not have anything and them have everything, and then we give them a detailed thing of what we expect from them so that they can prepare it in advance.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's that. And then I just I pulled up like a CMA did for a city place listing back in, looks like July of 2019.
Awesome. So now you're in the house.
Now
You've
we're in the
already done
house.
the pre-listing work and they're ready. They know what's expected of them. You've looked at the house and now we're on to the CMA.
Yes, we're on to the CMA. All right. Alyssa, thanks for having me. We had an appointment here at 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock, and I love sitting down with you and talking about how we can accomplish your real estate goals.
My pleasure.
So one of the biggest things is Keller Williams. Obviously, we talk about our teamwork and we go into that, and it's something that I know that you saw in the pre-list packet prior on how team-oriented we are, because many hands make light work. And you'll hear me reference it throughout, because just like any company and any system, we follow a model that is going to make you more effective, net you a higher sale price, and also make your life a lot easier. Does that sound great?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So reference the top 5. I'm not going to go too much into it unless you want me specifically to, because I know your time is valuable and I trust that we'll be on the same page as we continue on. If I move too fast, you got to let me know. I'll slow down. And if I'm going too slow, please speed me up so that I can make sure we're on the same page.
Awesome.
All right. So big things. 1, technology. That's going to be exactly one of the biggest things that we are. We're a tech company and we happen to sell real estate. So what are we in a tech stage? Yes, we have the ability to make sure that we're almost 3 times as much as any other company in terms of our marketing efforts, in terms of getting on the online search engines as well. 2, teamwork. Like I said, we're going to reference a team because I run a team, we are a team, and that's going to make your life a lot easier. And the one big difference I always say here is that because I am not a generalist, I'm a specialist, I only handle listings. So when you're going to get in any other agent that's not a team, that's highly structured and also your infrastructure is in place, is a generalist. A generalist is going to walk out your door and go rent an apartment. They're going to go list their grandmother's house. They're going to go try to do a lease somewhere else, wherever the body takes them. Myself, I'm only focusing on listings. I'm doing that every single day. And that's what I do in terms of my structure. There's nothing else that I'm handling. You're going to get the most attention and highest focus, which, what does it do for you?
Well, it allows me to have one person that I'm contacting for my listing. So that's good.
Well, puts more money in your pocket. You're going to constantly reference this as well, because I know there's 2 things that are going to motivate you: how much money you can get and the time frame that you need to sell it in. And that's why you're coming to me, to make sure you get 2 of those things accomplished, because everything else is going to go under those 2 buckets. Make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Another thing, knowledge. 12 years in the business. Between everything that we've made faults and mistakes we've learned on, because just like you, I know you're a smart gal. You know that we only learn from our losses. We very rarely learn from our wins. So with that, we have that knowledge and experience combined over the 12 years to make sure that we do the right thing by you. Okay, we're reliable, we're trustworthy, and we've got a proven track record.
Awesome.
Do you have any questions on any of this?
Not so far.
Awesome. So I know that one of the big things is getting down to the south in the time frame you want, and what we need to do is make sure that we put a plan in place to accomplish that.
Yep.
Is that what you're looking to do? A time frame that you need to get down there in?
Yeah, like I said, we don't really have too much of a time frame. I know that it's a hot market right now, so I'm trying to see if now is the right time. And I mean, everyone keeps telling me things are flying off the shelf. So
Sure. No, they are flying off the shelf. It's just going to be depending on which shelf you're on. Let's talk about that, because it's a market that is hot. It's pocket oriented. Some things are moving quickly, others are not, and most of it's due to price. So with that said, when we price right, if you look here, we have to price it right from the jump. And the reason is because if we price it at market value, we're really only getting 6 out of every 10 buyers to come through the door anyway. What are the other 4, you may ask? Well, if you're looking in a place where it's a house and a condo is available as well, that's 2 blocks away, the buyer that's looking for the condo, buyer's not looking for the house. That could be one of the 4. Could be the one that's looking for a steal, pre-foreclosure. Send me all the best properties. Give me the whale properties. That's what people say to me, as if these properties wouldn't be found by others prior and purchased. Of course, that's not going to be your buyer. Not to mention, they're not going to buy anything for years. It's going to be the same conversations they have with the same people over and over. That's not your buyer. That fits into those categories. Somebody buying a new property, a brand new house, doesn't fit in that category. So right off the jump, we only get 6 out of 10 in this market. So what do we have to do? price it accurately to make sure that we get one of the six, because it's not even 100%, it's 60. Think about it like this. It's an inverse relationship. If we go up in price, we're going to get less buyers. Doesn't mean that we can't sell it, but we're going to get less buyers through the door. And if we go 10 or 15% below, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, we're going to have more buyers.
More buyers, right?
Yeah.
Precisely. So would you want to take a risk on more buyers or less buyers?
Of course, more buyers.
What would more buyers do? Think about an auction. What would more buyers do?
Oh, well, hopefully it would drive the price up if you're thinking about an
betcha.
auction.
Well, you betcha. The whole purpose is because you have competition, right? And people want to win. If they pay a little bit more on a mortgage, 10, 20, 50, $100 a month, and they can afford it, well, they're going to go up if that's the property that they want. And my goal is to make sure that that property fits in alignment with the pricing they're willing to pay. Now, we've got some tactics and some tricks that I can use depending on where we're at. And those things are going to come from the experience that we have. So setting it up, look at some misconceptions. On our next page, we've got everything that you don't want to look at or don't want to know. I'm sure you know a lot of these, and I'm going to come across some of these in my own terms whenever I'm dealing with my own properties as well. But they're misconceptions. What you paid for the property means nothing. Are you okay with? Are you comfortable with that?
I guess I have to be.
Well, let me ask you like this: do you own any stock?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And what you paid for that stock, is it what you sell for?
No, it's not.
No. Would you expect to pay the same thing, or and vice versa?
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
No. Okay, good. So what you paid is irrelevant. What you need, tell me. If you need that amazing $100,000 car, selling the property may not be what you want to do. And I say that because it's what you need versus what you want. The reality is that that's great, but get it when you have excess money, excess passive cash flow, things like that. Accomplish your goals first and then go and do that. So what you need right now is not necessarily what's going on. Okay. What you want fits in that same category. We all want a lot. Want millions of dollars for anything doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Does that make sense? Good. And I'm saying this too because I want to make sure that we're straightforward right from the jump, because if you don't understand this and something happens, you'll already be prepared in advance for what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. What your neighbor says. I know that people in your area are looking, and I know similar condos have sold. So what your neighbor says and what you have is totally different. They may not have the same flooring, kitchen, decor, terrace, etc. Not to mention, they may be competing against you. If that person is looking at putting their property on the market and you tell them that you're going to list it at 575, well, they may undercut you and put it on the market right before at 550. I've seen it happen once. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is size you up. Unless this is a friend of yours and you know for a fact that they're not going to be selling or providing any information to anyone that walks in the hallways, etc., just leave it alone. Do not talk to your neighbors about the property. Send them to me, because I am your buffer. I'm the person that will make sure that you don't answer the questions wrong that they are asking, and you do not know that. I'm very savvy, I'm trained, and I can make sure that doesn't happen for you, because otherwise it could be disastrous.
Okay.
All right. What another agent says. What another agent says is meaningless, because if they're telling you they can get you $50,000 higher, here's one way to make sure that you'll never talk to that agent again. Put it in writing, because if you ask me to reduce that property one time, I cancel my agreement immediately. They're not going to sign that agreement. The people that only are blood-seeking listings are not looking for your best interest at heart. They're looking to put a sign on your property and collect leads for buyers. And that means that they'll sell somebody else's house at the expense of yours. Do you follow me?
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because obviously, we are interviewing different agents.
Of course. And you'd be smart only to make sure you interviewed a couple different agents, because you need to get the right one. And not every fit is the right fit, inclusive of myself. There's some fits that aren't. And that's a good thing, because we get to choose to do business with each other, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So what another agent says is, if I'm saying that I think your property is worth 575 and they're saying, Alyssa, I can get you 6.25. Well, the market doesn't suffice, and it probably won't even appraise for that. So what they're saying is, in essence, I want to get your business, so I'm doing it at any cost, even if it's an injustice to you as a seller, because I'm pricing it wrong, and eventually you're going to drip and drab, which we'll show you on the next slide. And eventually it'll be a stale listing. People will look 90 days later and say, why didn't this sell? Price. Oh, maybe there's something wrong with it. The people that would have bought it originally at the fair price have now bought another condo, and they're probably closing at the same time that you're calling your agent to fire him. And why? Because the agent didn't have a conversation with you prior, or didn't put you in a position to make sure that you'd succeed. Now,
Yeah.
can you afford to lose 90 days and tons of money on a position of making a bad choice?
It sounds like no. I don't see anything on the market that says it's 90 days or more.
And I would suggest that you'd make the worst business choice of your life if you'd go with that.
Gotcha.
And it's also going to be the worst financial decision that you made, because with every day that goes by, you're losing money. The property doesn't sell in our area within the first 30 days. Chances are it's way overpriced, or there's something wrong with it. Why? Because our area dictates that. It's not in the Midwest. We're not in rural areas. We're in areas where thousands and thousands of buyers are out every single day trying to buy as much as they can. And if not them, investors and other people. If your property got to a point, it's not that it was so horrible that it needed to be sold, it still could be sold to an investor renovator, and then they'll do the work. So we always have a buyer, okay? And cost to rebuild. So moving forward there, any questions?
Not so far.
Wonderful. Just like we were talking about, I just preceded this with this slide, because what we have to do is price it ahead of the market. If we do not price it ahead of the market, we're going to chase it downward. And all I know is that this looks like a big snowball that's going to get to the bottom with a lot of juice and meat. And what is that big ball of? Emotions, heartache, conversations, emails, time lost from your family, less money. Do you want to go through that?
No, of course not.
It sounds so much fun, doesn't it? I mean, I can't wait to start. Sign me up.
Yeah. So what do you mean by chasing it downward?
Because every single day that the property doesn't sell, it's going to lose value. Doesn't mean the market's losing value, means the property is, because we have a market that within 30 days, the first 30 days are the most crucial. If we don't have an offer, something's wrong. Either we couldn't get in, there was too many issues with the property, but most likely it's two things only: price and pristine. If it wasn't priced right, or if the pristine wasn't matching. If they're not in alignment, the property will not sell. Okay.
That makes sense.
When it gets to 90 days, think of it like you. If you ever saw a property on the market and you said, oh, wow, it's 120 days, no price adjustment, and hasn't sold, what would you tell me if you're buying the property?
Well, that's what we're looking at right now. And if we see something that's been on the market in Florida for more than, 30 days, probably something wrong with it, right?
So would you expect to pay more or less for the property?
Well, less.
Wonderful. So then my point is proven there. You have to price it ahead of the market. Otherwise, you're going to get less, because that's the perception. And it's right. You're absolutely right on that. Price competitively. First 30 days are critical. Why? Because we know the activity zone right here, right from the gate. The first 6 weeks is really where it overflows. Week 3, once it's absorbed into the market, most of the time it takes at least 1, 2, 3 weeks. People are away. People have work, couldn't get there, family obligations, COVID, you name it, and it'll be there. But that's where that comes into play. So what happens? Our best offers are our first offers. Agents that immediately schedule showings when we put a listing on the market are the most serious. Those are the buyers that lost out on a previous property, haven't found what they want. They're ready. They're pre-approved. Don't you want those buyers?
Yeah, of course.
If the buyer sees your property and it's 10 or 20% overpriced, they're going to say, well, I've seen all the properties. I know the market. That property is overpriced. They tell us. We don't even have to tell them. So do you want a buyer to tell me that your property is overpriced? No, exactly. So let's do the right thing. Price it right with me right from the get-go. List with me. My plan will be implemented in place just like you have it. We'll have it in contract. So this is where that zone is. Once we get to the 120-day mark, just like we're talking about here, then we're really at issues. Now, I won't ever just go to that point. We're going to get to 30 days, have a conversation, and look at our analytical data. And if it doesn't match, well, we're going to have a conversation about that. And really, we're having the conversation now, because I'm telling you that we're going to have to drop it at least 5% at that point. And if we don't, we're risking the 120-day mark. I'd rather drop it and get it sold than lose 120 days, have the frustrations, remember that big snowball at the bottom, then have all that. You with me?
Yep, I'm with you.
Wonderful. So moving forward, we got to all of this. Some of the questions that I'd have for you is that, what are the 3 most important things for you in hiring your agent?
Well, I want to get the most money possible. Obviously, everyone says that they're getting bidding wars and all of this. I want bidding wars. I want to get the best terms. It sounds like now's a good time. That's what I hear.
So what I'm hearing is that you want to net the most money. So one of the most important things, so if I netted you the most money and I showed you how I could, based on everything that we discussed, hiring and negotiating above the market, you'd feel comfortable in saying yes, right?
Yes, and of course, I want someone who's going to be reliable. You said that you only
Sure.
list houses, and I think that's a good thing. I just want to make sure that I don't have, you hear these stories about realtors who just list the house and then they disappear.
Talk to me about what you feel reliable is, because I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
So for me, I just want to make sure that we're like, I know what's going on. I want to know when the showings are happening and stuff like that. And I want to know that you're getting back to people. Cause like I said, I hear these stories about people who list the house and then it's a good market. So if it sells, great. And if not, they kind of disappear.
Sure, sure. I mean, it happens all the time. So if in terms of reliability, if I communicated, had my appointment center set up the appointments, you're always in the loop, you knew the email feedbacks, you received feedback from myself, you had access to myself, call or text as needed, and you saw the marketing in place and you saw the follow-up, is that something that you consider reliable?
Oh yeah, I definitely want to have the feedback from showings is great. And being
Good,
able to see the
good.
marketing, that's awesome too.
Wonderful. And I would agree. It'd be very important for me if I'm sitting in your shoes as well. So it seems like we're on the same page. So give me the third thing that you have in making the choice for your agent.
Just really making sure that they're advising me when it comes to the offers. If we do get into a competitive offer situation, I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision because I do see these properties that come back on
Mhm.
the market. And like you said, I don't want to chase the snowball.
No, no, you definitely don't. So what would be important to you about that
Just
specifically?
being educated on what those offers look like. And I don't know if you guys do like maybe I heard the phrase deal sheet before, where maybe you can show
Sure.
me the pros and cons. I hear stories about FHA. I don't really know what that means.
Sure. In this situation, FHA may come into place. Highly doubtful because it's not an FHA building, and I don't see it being converted. So I don't want to cloud your mind with things like that. Separately, we can easily talk about that if you're just personally curious.
Okay.
In terms of everything that you discussed, deal sheets and things like that, if we had a system in place that was handling all of that for you, where you knew who everybody was in the transaction, what was going on, the dates, the vendors, is that something that you're saying you'd feel very comfortable with and say yes, I want to work with them?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Terrific. All right, well, great. That's the same thing that we have in place with our dot loop system and what you had in your pre-listing packet. So there's no doubt about it. We can absolutely cover that as well. And if you have any confusion in that, I'd love to clear it up because it's one of the best technological resources, as I mentioned earlier, that our company has. So.
Very cool.
All right, so that sounds great. So just getting some things like we had talked about with pricing, and what we do is we always try to add a little extra value, some things like preparing your home for sale. We know that you got a lot going on. We know that making a list and a checklist is not nearly as impactful or effective as if we can give you one and then you can cross out what's not yours or add in what you need to pertain to you and your family.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Now, I know that you'd said you want to have this property listed by next week or so. My marketing team takes about a 7-day window to turn around everything in order to effectively get it out there. When would you want to go ahead and schedule the marketing team to get there?
I guess whenever. I mean, I'm working from home, so you guys can come by whenever in theory.
Wonderful. So what I'm going to pull a note here on the file is that we're going to schedule it for Tuesday of this week. And we'll go from there. We're going to get a video done, floor plans, and professional photos. And we'll make sure that I have it sent over to you with our flyer for a proofreading before we go live.
Okay.
And also just for your sharing ability along with the website and things like that. It looks top notch, just like you'd seen in our pre-list packet. We're really going to kick some butt with you and make sure that we do everything that we said and accomplish your goals. With that said, the last thing that we have is your moving checklist. So once I have that sold picture of you and your family or at the signing table or whatever it may be, this is going to be when you're moving. And that's going to be exactly the checklist that you want to use and also that you can add to for making sure that you have some type of plan for getting out of there, because I know it's a lot.
Awesome.
All right, so some reviews and things. I know you had looked at it in the past, and in conclusion, obviously, we want to get going. I have the listing documents already prepared for us. So all we need is your signature, and I will go to work for you as soon as we leave this apartment, and let my team know that we are going to get your unit sold. Does that sound great?
Awesome. I love it.
Terrific. All right, here's the paperwork. If you have any questions, just review it. I use as simple wording as possible, so it's effective. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Bruce.
Awesome. Thank you. We
Howdy do,
appreciate your
guys.
business.
Everyone's on mute. I had to mute everyone, but someone unmute and give me some ahas from Bruce's presentation.
Man, I wish I didn't pick up that phone call. It's tough to go after this guy now.
Yeah, well, it's pretty bad when you take a phone call in the middle of a listing presentation. Nico, come on.
I'm so sorry. I had the health department call me.
That's
Bruce,
okay.
great job, Bruce. Love it.
So
Thank
a couple
you.
of things I want to point out to you guys that Bruce was doing that you might not have caught is there were a couple times in there that he kind of prefaced a question by saying, if we could do that thing that you had just mentioned, then that would answer your question. That would cause you to list with us, right? And when I say yes, what have I just done? I've just told him, number one, you've answered my question. Number two, there's no other objection. He's handled the objection. He's isolated that objection, and then he's been able to move forward from that. Another thing that I thought was a very bold strategy that Bruce does is that he will, whenever he's going in for certain things, talking about things like the marketing, it's called a pre-trial close, where he says, hey, if we can get the marketing team out there, when would that be good for you? By tomorrow? If I say yeah, tomorrow, he knows he's got the listing.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest ones I use, because I knew I got it. Once you said yes, I said, terrific. I just got to close now, and I'll give you the paperwork.
Right. Because if I say, well, I don't know, not tomorrow, we're interviewing other people. Okay, that's an objection. Time to handle that. Any questions for Bruce? Feel free to unmute, or you can put them in the chat if you have any questions on his listing presentation.
I've only done it one time this presentation, so I'm not sure. I might not have done it good.
I see a couple of people.
Hi, Bruce. I missed the beginning of the presentation. Did you talk about pricing?
Yeah, the pricing talk we already had kind of agreed on. In terms of that, I didn't brief it too much, just because that was what Alyssa had told us not to do.
So one of the things that I explained at the beginning was that in terms of pricing, I wasn't really gonna beat anyone up over pricing. It's right now, it's a little bit of a crazy market. And so I said to our participants, let's just assume we're all within the same, $10,000 range, and that we're all on the same page with pricing.
Okay, thank you.
But if you have a common objection you want to throw at Bruce with pricing, I'm sure he'd be happy to handle it.
I would, happily.
And
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sure.
Maria.
How would you handle someone who's concerned about having too many people come look at the house, or because of COVID, that fear that sets in? How do you handle that type of conversation where they're?
Let me ask you a question. Do they live in the house?
Yes.
Their concern, how motivated are they to sell?
It's a divorce situation, so one is motivated and the other one isn't.
Well, the divorce situation could be a very good motivation. If one doesn't want to leave, that's going to be an issue regardless.
Yeah, she's doing it, but not too willing to do it that way.
Most likely it'll have to happen. I think that the increased traffic is more a threat to her about the house being sold than it is COVID. I think COVID might be an excuse for masking that. But that's just my own thought. What I would suggest is that we take absolute protocol. I mean, I would ask her, hey, listen, did you go to the grocery store this week? She says, yeah. Okay, great. Were you walking down the aisle wearing a mask with other people that you don't know that were walking around you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did you go to the cashier and did you give them your money and hand them your product and you've never met them before? Yeah, no. So what's the difference of going in a house where I'll make them put on booties? And if you want me to put gloves out there, I'll happily do it. But more or less, it's the mask and the fact that they're not going to touch. We're going to have all the doors open. We'll make sure everything's done. Take care of it. We'll even put notes on there if you'd like. The best that we can do. We also have the COVID waivers that we're going to sign. Make sure that we limit our liability. So in essence, if you want to get your home sold, this is the way that we have to get it done.
Right. Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Awesome. In the interest of time, we'll get Nico going here.
Nico, Nico, Nico.
And so hopefully there's no more phone calls, Nico, otherwise we're going to run out of time. And so for those of you who jumped on a little bit late, the preface to this is we already have built up rapport. He's not going to spend too much time asking me, you know, questions about my family and all that. I'm moving to Florida. I don't necessarily have to move, but I hear it's a good market. And we've already toured the home. Now we're about to sit down in order to go through why I should hire him. Oh, and I will stop having Bruce share his screen.
Thanks. Yeah, it's telling me I can't use mine.
No worries. I got you covered.
So it also said, you also mentioned, like, we didn't have a name. So I used, you know, a different name. So hold on, why can't I just see my whole thing? Oh no, wait, that's not my,
We're seeing your presentation right now.
is this my PDF though? Is this PDF? Yeah, this is PDF. Let me minimize it. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I didn't know what name to use. So I used, you know, you as George and Louise Jefferson. We're making sure you're moving on up.
All right, no problem.
All right.
All right, so we just sat down.
Whoa, what a wonderful house. Thank you for inviting me tonight. Oh man, it's gonna be cool. We had to call you Louise instead of Alyssa. I'm gonna call you Alyssa. Just
You can call me whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. So thank you. I want you to envision through the next few minutes what our relationship's going to be. All right.
Okay.
So this is your home, and this is what your home looks like sold. So I just want to give you an introduction and who I am. So it's really important to really make the connection, in my opinion, on who the person you're doing relationships with. I'm a member of several different MLSs. I also have my designation in short sales and foreclosures. Most importantly, I'm a licensed realtor. I'm a chairman for the Dumont EDC, which is Economical Development Committee. I'm also appointed on the Joint Land Use Board. I've been a volunteer firefighter for the last 16 years with 2 different departments. I was a civil servant as a 911 operator. Also rode my bicycle from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. 3 times. So that means I have the persistence and dedication to put my mind on a task and complete it every single time. And then I'm also the founder of the Neighborhood Sellers. You're going to hear throughout this presentation about how what I can do with your home, with the team I've built around me.
Okay.
Right. So with that being said, let's keep on going. Hold on, my son's coming down. Bring him upstairs. Of course, as soon as I started talking, they found
The
me.
joys of working from home.
Yeah, he just found me. So your needs always going to come first, not mine, but yours. Visualize a dream scenario of selling your home.
Okay.
All right. What's one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario come true?
I'm getting it sold quickly and for, you know, the best price possible.
How I can make that happen is just doing basically what I'm going to be telling you in the next few minutes is using my strong, aggressive arsenal of marketing to get you top dollar at the right price going on the market.
Okay.
What would that do for you?
Well, it would get me to Florida.
And that is our goal, to get you and your little dogs down to Florida as soon as we can. And now with that being said, if you don't have an agent, I know an agent moving in that area that you just had told me. So I would love to connect you guys if that's a possibility as well.
Okay, great.
If we could just add one more thing to make this experience better, what would it be?
Well, I just want to make sure that, you know, my agent is communicative with me and that I know what's going on during the process.
Why is that important?
Well, I haven't sold as many homes as probably most people have. So, you know, this is the first time I'm really selling on my own. So I don't really know what the process entails.
And if I would tell you, most of the people that I speak to say the exact same things, you shouldn't be surprised. A lot of people haven't sold homes before and they just don't know. I use my experience, my personal experience of the process. And that's what made me a realtor because of my past experiences. I felt scared, confused, unsure. So I take all those emotions and feelings and I hold your hand through the whole process.
Okay, awesome.
That's why I make this whole thing important to you.
Okay.
So this is one of my best and favorite parts of my relationship with you. Not only am I giving you my personal address so you can come and knock on my door and hunt me down, but communication to me is super crucial and key. All right. Every week we'll schedule a date. So if it's Thursday every week or Friday every week, I will call you or message you every week at that day. Whether I'm giving you positive and negative feedback, but transparency for me is super critical. And I need to have that communication with you. If I don't call you on that day, fire me the next day. We'll cancel the agreement and cancel. I am super confident that I'm not one of those people that are going to list it and disappear 3, 4, 5 days later, or you're confused and saying, what's going on? I haven't seen anyone here in a week. What are you doing? Well, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. Again, that's my house. I sent you a picture of my house. Google it. You can knock on my door. We'll have dinner as you express your feelings. This is a little timeline of what to expect in the next upcoming, steps of the process. All right. Right now we're talking. The next part, all right, I'll have my stager come over here. It's a complimentary consultation with a stager I'll bring over here because you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. And what I feel important is what works for you may not work for somebody else. If you have a family of 4 and you have a toy bin all over the place, that works for you. I know it. I have 2 kids. You have your children are puppies. So as you walk in, you really don't see those toy chests making a difference. Mm-hmm. So what my stager does gives you different little things that we can do. And right before we take our photos, we have her come in and give you some suggestions.
Okay.
All right. And then the other stuff you see here, we launched our Coming Soon program. My Coming Soon program really details the marketing of how we're going to go. All right. And I'll go into detail a little bit later. And finally, you see the bottom, we're moving you to Florida because that's my goal. I'm not here today to tell you, hey, we're just selling your house. I'm here today to tell you our relationship doesn't end right here in these 4 walls. It's to see you grow and plant your seeds and roots somewhere else.
Okay.
Now, this is the top 5 benefits for working with the neighborhood sellers, my team. Now, since I don't have to spend numerous amount of hours advertising my services, I can focus all that energy into selling your home. All right. Anyone can just put a lawn sign on your house and like many people say, my agent just disappears. What I bring to the table, better pricing strategies to bring more money to you, a smoother home selling experience. Like I said, I will hold your hand through the whole experience. How does that feel?
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of that emotion or fear away and makes you feel comfortable to give me that trust. I mean, the community I'm in, I've been a firefighter for 16 years. When I walk into a house at 3 o'clock in the morning, the last thing I want to see is a little kid being scared because he doesn't know what's going on. I befriend that little child and the parents to make sure that they feel safe, that we're there just to help out, not to be scary. I bring that the more connections to the right people. So like I said before, my marketing campaign is super strong and aggressive. So I really target who's going to buy your home. And and everything's going to keep on rolling into marketing, and I make the process fun. I don't know if you feel my energy. Do you feel it?
Of course.
Oh, that energy is going to be the whole time from the beginning to the end. So I make the whole experience fun and not scary or confusing.
Awesome.
So this is your custom marketing plan for 178 Dover Lane in Dumont. All right. Yard signs. Now, yard signs, everyone has a yard sign that says coming soon, or mine are catchy. Mine says, stop your car. This is your next future house. And then I'm celebrating the buyers when they're under contract. I have a writer that says, under contract, meet your next new family. Mm-hmm. I make the whole process exciting and really welcoming, something that really will attract the right buyer to your home and have that energy transfer over from you to them. And that makes your home a new home for someone else and not just a house.
Right.
My open house and broker open strategies. Do you know what an open house is?
I know what an open house is. What's a broker open?
So a broker open is exactly like an open house, but it's a private just to brokers. Now, what I work with 7 other offices right here in Keller Williams. I wouldn't just invite them, but I invite other brokerages, not only here in New Jersey, but also in New York City. A lot of the people moving into Teaneck, a lot of people moving into Dumont are all taking the 167 and work in Manhattan. So I know brokers over there that have people looking to leave Manhattan to come here. I will market to them, bring those brokers into here. They view the home and they know automatically, hey, if this is right or wrong for their client, and they bring their client to the open house. So I will do that on Wednesday before your open house on Saturday and or Sunday. And I love doing 2-day open houses. I love to be here as much as I can because, again, I want to feel the pride and sense of family from this home.
Okay.
Now, my social media campaign is super targeted. We use different SEO techniques to really target. I'll give you an example. I sold a home in Fort Lee, a condo in Fort Lee, and my targeting was in Queens. Guess who bought the house? A guy who saw my marketing in Queens. It just works out hand in hand. We really don't want to waste our time and just telling everyone, hey, we're selling a house. Some people cannot afford your price point. Some people are looking for that price point. So let's really find who's buying and try to target those people and sell it that much quicker.
Okay.
Now, I met you by knocking on your door and I asked you, hey, do you want to sell your house? And you said, yeah, why don't you come over and sit down and talk to me? You remember that day?
Mm-hmm.
I remember petting your dog. Your dog is super cute. Now, what I'll do is I'll knock on those doors and people will say, wait, I don't understand. Why would you knock on my neighbor's door? They already have a house. That is true. But what about their son, their niece, a child that wants to move closer to home? You know, when I was looking at homes, the first place I looked is the town I grew up in. So you don't know about that. So that's what I'll do. I'll knock on those doors because it worked when I met you. Who says it won't work with somebody else? Super important. And here, these are the photos. The paper I'm handing you. These are photos of different homes pictured on the MLS. You see them? They're done with an iPhone, horrible angles. I bring in a super professional that takes pictures to really experience what we're looking at. You know, really drive the attention to your home. That is what I'm trying to do, and it's no extra cost. I want to make sure because I would be cheating you for not providing that service. Now, because of COVID, a lot of people are not coming out. So videography has been super important in today's market. I'll also include a video tour. Not only will I keep that on the MLS, but I use that in my marketing and on my YouTube channel. And you can check my YouTube channel as we're looking. And you see these videos, all these videos here of all past homes. So when people are sending me messages and they say, hey, can I see the look at the house? Sure, here you go. And they already have a step and an idea what your house looks like.
Okay.
And of course, drones. Who doesn't love a beautiful view, an area view of your house with that pool? That's what really brings out oasis and makes your home that next home for somebody else. How's that sound?
Very good.
You know, can you imagine, since you're working from home, can you imagine just shopping for a home and taking 2 steps out of the way by looking at crisp pictures and beautiful video?
Right.
You know? Now, to go on to everything I was saying, my digital marketing is just that. It is top and edge cutting. You know, a lot of my clients have said that they were surprised to see what I provide, and that would be it. On top of the marketing, I would also send an email blast. So I will let my sphere, my net database of people know, hey, I'm selling a home at 178 Dover Lane. They may know or may not know someone. And finally, part of this custom marketing campaign, I will cold call. Just like knocking on your door, I would start calling people and talking to them and explain, hey, I'm selling Alyssa's home. So how do you feel about this marketing campaign? Is there anything that you haven't seen that you would like me to add in here?
That I haven't, no, I guess this is pretty comprehensive.
And usually it is, but if you don't see something you want to add, my team will definitely jump on it. We have everyone from marketing to transaction to photographer. Everyone is there to work for you. They don't work with me. They work for you.
Awesome.
Now, this is where we're talking about the price and the house, the price of your home. The price is right, and the dangers of overpricing. Now, I just want to let you know, I'm not the one who dictates how much your house is worth. The market does. All right. It's what the past home sold. So saying, hey, we can sell this house for $650,000 by just throwing a number out there may not work. And the reason why it won't work is because today's market is affected by price, the location, the condition, the competition. Right now, it's a seller's market, right? And the timing. Now, through my competitive market analysis, this is how I found the sweet spot for your home. And this is the report of my CMA. When selling your home, the price matters, all right? The CMA pricing generates most of the activity of the buyers and the agents. I want to assure you that we don't price the house too high, because this could sit on the market, dry up any interest and attention, and the buyer was just going to go to a well-priced home. The last thing a buyer wants to do is to go back and forth. They want to buy a house, know the price is accepted, and move on.
Right.
So if we can attract those buyers right away, and like I said before, we don't have a second chance to make a good first impression. So dropping the price 3 weeks from now is not ideal, because we already lost the attention of that 3 weeks.
Right.
So coming in strong, and even raising it a little bit, it can still decrease the amount of attention we get in there. And now, one thing I don't want you to do is don't listen to the noise of your neighbors, friends, even agents saying they can sell it higher. Because if they can, they will. And I'm sure they will not sign a listing with you and keep that price and sell it at that price, because it's not going to happen. The CMA is what it is. Numbers are numbers. It is what it is. My commitment to you is to sell for the most possible. What are you looking for me to sell your home as?
What am I looking for?
Yeah.
Well, we were thinking that it's probably around, you mean in terms of price? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
We were thinking it's probably around 600.
And I think it is too. And if you see my paperwork here, you're pretty much on the point. So coming and attracting people at 600 is who's going to buy your home.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who can afford a $650,000 home can afford a $600,000 home. But
Right.
someone who can afford a $600,000 can own that home, buy a $650,000 home.
Right.
That's where buying a house means a lot.
Yeah.
And people look at the days on market. When someone says, hey, why has this house been on the market for 100 days? First thing they say is, there's something wrong with that house.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've been looking at homes down in Florida.
Yep.
Have you seen any homes that have been sitting on the market for 100 days?
Yeah. And I think exactly what you just said. Something's wrong with it.
And it could be absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But what could be wrong is the price.
Right.
So that's where we want to kind of guide people away from and really focus their attention, because we don't want to waste your time, because your time is valuable. But we don't want to waste buyers' time. And at the end of the day, we want the house to appraise.
Yeah.
Because unless you're getting cash, you don't know if it's going to appraise or not by going super high, and then we're going to go to another negotiation.
Okay.
Now, my open house, I make my open house fun. I mean, everything I do is just super full of energy. I don't know if you're feeling it, because I'm getting the energy off of you. Look at your dogs. I mean, your dogs are sitting down and they're paying more attention than I think they would. So I put my riders, my open house riders, on super important intersections, really close to the house to drive attention. I use red and black balloons. That is what I feel that has worked the most. Out of all different balloons combinations, I think red and black balloons work best.
Okay.
I hand out flyers, and those flyers I hand out, I'm bringing it to bars, pharmacies, local small businesses, because if people are shopping in that area, they could be renters that love that area and want to move to that area. So I'm going to hand out flyers, just like we did back when we were going to clubs. You walked out of the club, you got a flyer in your hand for the next weekend, right? I know I did, and we're about the same age, so I'm sure you did too.
Yep.
Those flyers worked because they brought me back. So you
Right.
know firsthand that will work, and may work for your home as well. I would make a social media campaign to really advertise and market the people coming in. My last open house in Lodi attracted 150 people in 2 days.
Wow.
And how do I know that? Every person had to sign a COVID form. So those are not just numbers.
Right.
Like I said, I'll be personally knocking, but also inviting people in the community to say, hey, listen, I have an open house. Come and join me.
Right.
And these are other items here. Finally, I would bring a loan officer because you may have people coming in and looking at the house.
Right.
This market now, there's no time to waste. Once people come in, offers should be coming in that same weekend because we priced it right. And past experience dictates that is what's going to happen. And I feel confident will happen. By having a loan officer there, they can sit down and talk, and we have another offer to deal with. Let's go.
Okay.
Now, these are my promises and my values because I am really, what's the word I'm looking for? I am really committed to what my promises are. You know, I am a community leader in real estate and as friendly as the next door neighbor. I want to answer your questions, ease your concerns, reduce your stress, and expertly handle the entire real estate transaction from right now to when we close. I use my personal experience when my wife and I purchased and sold, right? We know how scary it could be, and we don't want you feeling that. I want to take care of your needs at the highest level possible. You can call me at any time. There's no request that's ever too small. My phone is on 24 hours, 70 days a week for you. And if you don't reach me, you have my assistant's phone number. And again, you have my number. Knock on it. We'll have dinner and we can talk at the dinner table.
Okay.
I always want to do the right thing. My goal is to represent your needs, right? I have no alter agenda for selling your home. My goal is to get you top dollar, right? And that's what I built my business.
Right.
These are some of my past clients, right? Brian Foose. We sold this home in 5 days.
Wow.
Dr. Cohen. We sold this condo. Trisha was a beautiful soul. She had lost her husband and she was super scared. We held her hand throughout the process. And Danny didn't think we can sell his smoke shop in the era with the smoke shop and all the vaping laws changing.
Yeah.
We did. You see the last one? That's where I'm going to put your photo and your experience after you write that review. Because I want people to really feel of what we can accomplish together. It's the bottom line, right? We know it can be complicated, frightening, and stressful. I want to assure you that I'll be here to comfort you through the whole process. That's where I come in. You know, my goal is to get the experience of selling your home and surpass the expectations you had. I work harder than what you expect to achieve just that goal, right? When you choose me and my team, we are a partner, right? Not only am I passionate just about serving our community, but my passion is also to make someone know how great your home is. So let's get started. I can get my team in here tomorrow to take the photos and the video to get you that one step closer to Florida. How's that feel? What time works for you?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get it going.
All right. So 1 o'clock works, right?
1 o'clock works.
Perfect. Outstanding. So thank you for your time, Alyssa. It really means a lot to me, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Nico. We appreciate it. I didn't give him any objections because we're running low on time, but anyone have any ahas or want to give some feedback? We got a clap in the comments. A clap.
Oh, nice. See, I'm not Bruce Elia, so I
I appreciate his energy. I appreciated your energy.
Yeah, I love the energy.
I can't see, I don't see nothing. How do I
Oh, well, you can stop here. I'll make it so that you're stop sharing and
yeah, I don't.
it'll boot you. There we go. All right. Any questions for either Bruce or Nico? Any ahas? Any gratitude you want to share for having them come on? Well, since it's been a full hour, I appreciate both of you guys so much for doing this. I know that we had a ton of people on. At one point, we had about 35 people on. So I know that this was awesome, and we appreciate you guys both giving your insight and showing us what you do. Last chance for any questions. If anyone has any questions, Danny, I see you unmuted.
I'm sending out the pre-list packet to Kat right now, just as a heads up.
Perfect. Awesome.
Hey, Bruce, let me ask you a question. I see. I don't know what benefits are, and just give me your 2 cents. I see you have a lot more graphs than I do. I thought the graphs and stuff like that are just too much putting in front of them. Do you find it working better using those graphs than having no graphs? Because I just didn't want to give them.
Yes, I do. It's not about that. I don't bring a lot. I just put a few in there, and that always helps me.
All right. Maybe I'll start kind of integrating graphs into mine. Oh, there's people waving in the background.
Oh, they're waving. I don't know what that. Hi. We see you in the training room, but we can't hear you.
Maybe they send a chat. Oh no, there's no chat.
That's okay. I think they if you guys want to run into my office to ask a question, then you can. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is there any scripts that I saw Bruce used a lot of scripts that I have seen in the AW. I just wanted to know if you have like a document where you have the scripts or it's just personal, all the presentation.
Bruce?
Luis, are you talking to me? So yeah, I use the bold theory in terms of like getting to what I need to get. I just use a different road for it. I can give you whatever I have, just come into my office. I'd happily, get you whatever you need and show you where all my scripts are. It's a combination of like experience and scripts and feeling. Like I'll probe with questions and start feeling you out more than anything. Sorry, I got background noise here.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I'm doing it. I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong, but I use more of a connection. So because I haven't really spoken to Alyssa and really kind of find who Alyssa is, I know she has dogs, but if I knew I was dealing with Alyssa, I thought Kat was running it. I would have put more pictures, less pictures of my family and more pictures of animals to get that connection. Because my thing is, I always want to connect. This is what I used this presentation just over this weekend and got me my new listing, just using the exact same stuff. But I use pictures. The guy was into the Denver Broncos. So I use things that represent the stuff that he could connect with. And that's what I did. I do a little bit differently than using scripts. Right. I try to get that connection.
The whole thing is that you want to get a connection. The whole thing is that what I've found through my experience is that they want connection, but they are not looking at being your best friend. They don't want you there for dinner. They may want you there one time for dinner, but they're not really looking at adding you into their world. They want you to come in, get it done, and exit. Most of the time, if the relationship forms where it's actually beyond that, it has, and it will. I just don't base it off of that because most of the time people that, at least my experience from it, is that they're not looking for that. Sometimes too much. Like if somebody came to me and was doing that, it would be a little much for me. I'd want more just the refined professional that comes in, has done this a million times and moves on. Almost less invasive is more effective, so to speak. When I deal with my friends and things like that, I already have that relationship and we are doing that naturally. And I definitely do things a little differently with my friends more than I do my new contacts because of that. I think that there's important to build rapport, and I think there's a point where you have enough and you got to run from there. Doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that that's just what I've experienced.
Awesome. And I saw you guys had a question in the training room.
We do. Yes.
Go ahead.
Good. So, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So let's say they agree with the commission rate, whatever, on the phone. Is the next thing to do to meet up and take pictures to list, or what is the next step right after they agree on the phone?
After they agree on commission, you said?
On commission, on you listing the being their agent.
Were you guys able to hear the question?
Not
I
fully.
mean,
Say it again.
I really never get asked commission during the presentation, and I never raised that. I never raised the price. I let them.
Kat, I just sent it to you.
I let
I'm
my.
sorry, I'm unmuted.
I let my stuff speak for itself, and then I mean, a handful of times I get people asking, "Hey, this seems a little bit high. Can you do a lesser price?" But I never, in my listings presentations, I never talk about commission. I let them. I get them to think that, hey, listen, this is where I want to go, and this is what I'm going to use. I don't know. I mean, Bruce, I'm sure Bruce has been doing this a lot longer than I have. I've only been full time about a year and a half, but that's what works for me. I'm sure Bruce trumps my experience as
Nico, I
far as
think
time.
her question was more like, after they agree to go with you, what's your next step?
So she said after they've agreed to go with you, they've agreed that you're going to be their agent. What's the next step?
Well, what I do is I give them a heads up in the beginning part, and I don't know why I skipped it, but the beginning part, I tell them there's listing documents you have to sign, and I tell them exactly what it's, you have a dual agent form, a COVID form, an advertising form, and the most important thing is our contract. And I tell them, hey, listen, you can cancel that contract at any time. And most of the time, they never ask the stuff. And I walk them through the whole, when they sign it, I walk them through. I'm either on the phone or I do it in person. And so they never get blindsided with my commission rate.
Does that answer your question?
I was just gonna say that I think Nico was very personal, and for me, I think I like that aspect better because even though sometimes it might be overwhelming, I think a transaction is just a transaction, and I don't feel like I can refer that person to anybody else rather than like I could possibly trust this person because he is approachable. So I think you did a good job.
Thank you.
Can I ask both you guys? You both had very impressive resumes in your listing presentations. What about for newer agents that perhaps doesn't have the stats built up? What would you suggest that we can include in the listing presentation?
Eric, I'm a new agent. My first listing, the guy Igor Cohen, he was my very first listing, and we sold that June of 2019. Igor thought I was a seasoned agent just because I had confidence. I brought confidence. I went into his office in Queens with an empty briefcase and my wife, and I introduced my wife as my assistant. And he thought I was a seasoned agent only because of my confidence. I was scared to shit because I didn't want to mess up his transaction. But he actually referred me to other people. So my suggestion to you is use that confidence and use the office stats. Bruce mentioned in his average days on market is. I remember that from a class that he taught when I first joined. Now, I don't have a really solid portfolio of my days on market, so I use my experience a little up to a point, but I use the office stats. Now, Bruce can talk separately because he's been doing this longer. He's listed, 20 times more than I have. But that's what works. I'm a new agent. I'm a new agent, bro. Just use confidence. That's it. People can see right through someone who's scared. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous.
I love it, bro. I love it. Thank you.
Agreed. Bruce, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So what I would say is that this is the way that I would handle it is I would label it one of two ways. Either, well, actually not either. I would say I would say I am new and this is my experience prior to real estate, and I'd have everything labeled, my whole resume prior to real estate. And then I'd add in one or two things, some trainings that I've done. I'd add in any KW training I've done and I've completed, because the whole point is that you want to be honest, but you also don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. I know when I started, I said, hey, listen, yes, I'm brand new, but I've got a lot of experience with people, sales, and I'm also working with the team. I have a partner here that's going to make sure that everything is overseen and everything is completely done just the way that you want it to. And trust me, I've done so many other things to success. This is the same thing. So I would use things like that. And in terms of experience, is that everyone's experienced with people. So you don't really need to have more experience than that. You just need to have designations and training, be able to get them through, because I can't tell you how many people come to me, they'll grab a listing or they get something and then they don't even know what to do, but they got the listing, and then you can figure out what to do after, have people or, join a team or co-broker. There's so many things to do. So my suggestion would always just be get the business immediately and use that leverage of I've been to these trainings to get it.
Yep. And
Thank
if I
you.
could just add to that, Eric,
Welcome.
the number one question we get when we do these kinds of trainings is, I'm new, so what? And whether that is a marketing strategy, because I'm sure you've noticed that every company in the world is number one in whatever. It's all about marketing. You can say, I'm part of the number one office. I'm part of the number one team. This is your Keller Williams team. Another strategy is you can say, I have a business partner. I'm sure that Beck or your coach or whoever would be more than happy for you to say that they're your business partner. And between my business partner and I, we have X number of years of experience. Or take Bruce's strategy and say, listen, I am new. And guess what? You're going to be my only listing. You're going to be my number one 100% priority.
Yeah. Using things like that could flip the script easily. It's using that to your advantage than your disadvantage. Yeah, you know why? And I did the same thing. Yeah, you know why? It is. And I've got a partner that's sold hundreds of properties. And you know what? All my attention goes to you. That other agent, they're not going to spend anything. The older agent, he's with his kids on the weekend. He's traveling down south. You think that he's working hard for you? Not like me. You need to do the right thing and make sure that you go with the winner like myself. Let's sign. Things like that just constantly come out.
Yep. Louisa, are you high-fiving or do you have your hand up?
No, I wanted to know, so when it comes with commission, how you handle the objections and what's like the biggest objections you always get during the listing
You
presentation.
could go.
Alyssa, do you have any dollar bills in your pocket?
I'm a millennial. You think I carry cash, Nico? Come on.
All right. This is what I do. And I actually saw this. I forgot who showed me this.
I've seen this too, though. Yep.
I've used this in a couple things. You take $6 bills, $5 bills, whatever it is, lay it on the table, right? And you say, this is your commission of 6%. These $6 bills. The top 3, that goes to the buying side. I don't even see that. It goes to the buying side. This $1 goes to my broker. This $1 here, that goes to the marketing. This $1 here goes to in my pocket. So if you want to lower the commission, we got to eliminate one thing. Can't eliminate the buyer side. Can't eliminate the broker. I got to feed my family. So what we can do is eliminate the marketing. You let me know what you want to do, and we can do exactly what you want. That's what I use. I've worked a couple of times. I ended up negotiating like 5. Listen, you don't have to go half percent. You don't have to go. You can do. I did a listing at 5.35% or something like that.
Yep.
You don't have to go. The one property I sold in Lodi, I think it was 4.74%.
I feel like it's an emergency.
So you don't have to
Yes.
go down to whole numbers.
Yep.
You are valuable. Bruce, this is one thing I learned from Bruce. You are valuable. Value yourself. Do not discount yourself. Unless it's, somebody, family, whatever it is, or whatever the reason is, don't discount your service. You are valuable.
And another strategy that I hear a lot, and we could go on all day, so we'll cut it off after this question, but if you want to role play this with me, Nico, ask me how much my commission is.
How much is your commission?
The way that I always
Bruce,
do
jumping in.
commission. Oh, no, go, Nico, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm sure you guys have heard this a lot where somebody will say, what's your commission? You say, well, it's 50%. And they're confused. And you say, well, if I can get you $4 million on your property, you're okay with me taking 50%, right? So it's really not about how much I charge. It's about how much you net. So let's talk about the marketing and talk about how I'm going to get you the most amount of money for the property, and we can deal with commission later. And by the time you get to the end, as long as you've shown your value, they're not going to have a problem paying you 6%. I never took a listing. My first listing ever, 1.2 million, and I took it at 6%. But Bruce, go ahead. You were going to say something. We're keeping Bruce way too long. I told him this would be an hour, and I'm way over. So
No, that's fine. I thought I lost my license.
This is last question, then we're done.
All right. So with commission, the way that I handle commission is commission that it's negotiable, and we'll talk about that when we sign the paperwork. That's what I always say. The reason why is because I'm not going to talk to somebody about that until we're ready to sign. we can talk about that. If they're like, well, give me a general idea. Well, we work for 3%. We also suggest you co-broke between 2 and 3%, which means your total is somewhere between 5 and 6%. How does that sound? Well, great. We'll talk about that when we sign the paperwork. Oh, I want a discount. Great. We'll talk about that when you sign the paperwork. And that's what I use, because when they sign the paperwork, I'll negotiate right there, but I want them to sign. I'm not going to make a deal unless I don't. And they're going to shop that to other people. So I'm not going to do that. Not to mention, I can't tell you how many listing appointments I go on that they say that the other agents are willing to charge 1%, 2%, 3% total commission. And I just got a listing from my team that was a $2+ million listing taken from me, and the listing agent charged 0% commission.
What?
So dead serious. It's a woman. It's a woman I've actually been recruiting too. It's unreal, the situation. It's sad, to be honest with you. But she did it because she had no listings and she wanted buyer leads, and she thought that she can get leads through that. It's sad, but it's the truth.
And
so I don't do that any longer.
In that situation, it's very easy.
I will never charge 0% for a listing ever. I don't know what the heck is wrong with people. That costs thousands of dollars of marketing and money. I have one of my teammates laughing here, dying, because she understands it's absolutely right. And Naomi, you're 100% correct. It's not even possible to work for free or work reduced. The only way that you accept that is if you're literally signing the paperwork and you know that you're really going to lose the listing. We have a phrase on my team: some money is better than no money. If we're still profitable in what we're doing, it just means that, like a contractor, he gave me a job estimate of 50 grand. I beat him down to 40, still getting the same quality. Well, you know what? He's still probably making 10 grand. So he's happy to have the job. I'm happy to have the business, and likewise. And that's why everything's a negotiation always.
Yeah. And we could talk all day. I know that you guys probably have a million questions for our awesome participants. Thank you, Nico and Bruce, again. We really, really appreciate you. We'll try to do more stuff like this. Maybe we'll do a script one where we do a little script battle kind of thing, and always open to your suggestions on what we can do to help your business. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you, and take care.
Thank you, guys. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Our
guys.
pleasure. Any questions, just email direct to.